So when you take in rule of acquisition 11 about fruitism over positionism, um, but you also take in rule number 4, authority through lineage. You say, how do you reconcile the need for having a position of authority and creditism? Well, the matter is not that you have no position or irrelevant position. Okay, when you talk about a no credit, it means that you are not haunted by or pursuing credit. That doesn't mean that you do not have position. Okay, um, the archangel was preoccupied with viewing his significance through his career, um, credit to the point where he gets promotion, praise. Okay, these are the things of the emotional diet of an angel or a servant. Okay, which is why Jesus talked a lot about the servants who molested the son. Okay, who killed the son. Okay, they were hired. They think like workers. The son came later and got killed. And in one other parable, the workers who were there longer felt underpaid because they think like workers. When the afternoon workers came and got the same pay, workers feel like, according to worker dynamics and worker value system, okay? Anyway, you're not preoccupied with a worker's mentality. In other words, you're not seeking credit, position, praise, okay, and power during the fourth Adam's realm. And it's important to understand that fruit is the only thing that matters because you are setting the stage for your offspring, which is the offspring of God, right? And you need to set the stage for their coming. It's so you're trying to condition the nursery. You're conditioning the world. You want a better world because you're going to leave children here. It's not because you're trying to get credit. You're not seeking a career, okay? You're seeking fruit, and that fruit is not for nothing. That fruit is ultimately for your children, which means you act in the person of true parents. And what is your position when you occupy that role? That is, you could call it the primordial position, okay? Um, it means that you reached elder sonship, okay? It means that you passed through Songhua. It means that you had a rebirth experience from younger son to elder son. It means that younger son with a limited scope, okay, or a scope that is still crippled or retarded or immature. That person has died, and the elder son who understands why he's here, why he was created, and understands the heart of the creator, the heart of the parents. He respects what they were after before he was conceived and decides to join them. Okay, you have that position in the realm of fourth Adam. That's what you are. Like, your name doesn't matter. It matters that you are Adam or Eve, playing a role that every generation needs to be played for the sake of the entire garden, for the sake of the entire cosmos. Even section 4, all things will not will stop groaning in travail because we are going to allow them to meet and be cared for by true humans. We're trying to prepare that world like parents of the next world. That is your position. It is a primordial position. You are uh, um, um, adjacent to true parents' position as Adam and Eve, as a blessed couple. Branch factory producing the same product, meaning blessed children, that the central factory produces. So that's your position. It's just not, since you're there, it's not a concern for you. So, rule of acquisition number 12. Fourth Adam and the settlement age can only be successful or successfully traversed from the primordial position, the original position. Okay. And people of original position are not preoccupied with promotions because you already occupy the highest role in the cosmos. And needless to say, it's not a matter of money, or it's not a matter of external credit. And that's what rule of acquisition 11 was about when we discussed God doesn't need to be seen as long as his heart's desire is being fulfilled in the entire world around him. He soaks in the joy and shares in the joy together with us. He is not someone pursuing credit. And, you would occupy the same position. This also fulfills the Bible verse or Jesus' words that the meek shall inherit the earth. Because if 3 billion couples, let's say there are 3 billion couples at any given point in the future that are all in the original primordial position, that's pretty meek in that it's not a high profile thing. Everybody is manifesting God. Everybody is temple of God. God exists. God is in a very rich position of having lots of homes that he visits and lives in. So the idea of pyramid or prominence or a peak on top, this is not that kind of situation. The only position on top in terms of chronology is the first couple that set the pattern. Anyway, primordial role. You occupy a primordial role, which is why you're not preoccupied with credit, which is why you're liberated to be someone who is more about fruit, okay, and practical unfolding of a realistic world and culture for the sake of your children. And yeah. So, rule of acquisition number 12, fourth atom must occupy the primordial role. So what does that mean? If you haven't had this breakthrough, fine. But if you were saying, oh, it's not possible to occupy the primordial role, then you're saying that Father had no business opening up the fourth Adam's realm. Why would he open up the fourth Adam's realm if the conditions weren't ripe that it could be populated with people? So anybody who says, oh, too highfalutin, we're all sinners and we're all too low, you're making it so that you have no conversation with people in the fourth Adam's realm who have the mind of the fourth Adam's realm. But when you occupy, if you don't occupy the primordial position, what I'm saying is that's a you problem. And in this podcast, we're not going to make that problem our problem. There's no way for us to actually help you with that problem. We're certainly not going to be assaulted by someone having that problem. You know, if you said, oh, do you still have sin? And if I didn't have sin, let's say I crossed into a reality where I am no longer a sinner, you couldn't understand that because you can't get there from here from there, right? So you tell me you tell me I'm a liar, and then I tell you that you're a liar. It's incommensurate. If you said to me, do you have fallen nature? And I said, I don't have fallen nature. And you said, you're a liar. And then I can only tell you, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, that is the incommensurate nature of the boundary between third Adam's realm and fourth Adam's realm. So if you didn't have the requisite realizations to vibe with the fourth Adam's realm, because you didn't do your 5% portion of responsibility to properly esteem what you are after the blessing, we're going to not make that our collective problem in this podcast community. So rule of acquisition number 12, primordial position.